Hey YouTube, my name is Don Iacovella. I'm a full-time furniture maker, and I'm pretty new at YouTube. I'm going to start talking through my videos and see how that works out. It's probably going to be a disaster, but we'll see how it goes. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I hand-cut dovetails for a Nakashima style sideboard. This piece is all walnut. It's 18 inches wide. At the end here, I hammer them together. Then step one, you set your marking gauge. That's going to make an indentation in the wood, so later on you'll see my chisel has a spot to ride in and sort of like stay precise. So you get it clamped to the bench. There you go. Scribe, scribe, scribe. That's putting a small indentation into the wood. Then I like to do my layout on a piece of plywood because there's like tons of math involved, and I don't know, you got to figure it out. I find it's easier to do it on plywood than you can just throw it out, do it again, do it as many times as it takes. So then you transfer your plywood template to the good piece. So these are the tails that I'm marking out now. If you decide to keep watching this video, you're going to see I really dig George Nakashima furniture. I've made quite a few videos now of his pieces, and I've been selling him for a while, a couple years, mostly on Etsy. So this is a homemade dovetail marking gauge. I don't like the angles on the ones you buy. You can do whatever you want. You have full control. So this, anyway, mine are 20 degrees. I just think 20 degrees looks cool. So that's what I did. Then I'm going to cut these tails on the table saw. I found this. I've done it all different ways. I've done it with hand saws, jigs, all kind. I think I've tried it every possible way. So right now I think the table saw is the best. So I set the table saw to 20 degrees. Use a scrap of wood, get it all lined up because you really don't want to screw up your good piece. Walnut's not cheap. So a couple of test passes, get your depth right. I made this sled a while ago. It's just for dovetails. It's the only thing I do with it. So here we go, getting ready to cut out the tails. Blade set to 20 degrees. Just take your time, go with it one at a time. Don't cut your hands off. And we're cutting, we're cutting. I should have edited this clip shorter. This is kind of boring. But whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. So we're just going to go with it. I'm not going to stress out. So then you flip it over at the end here. Cut the other side. I'm sure you get the idea. I really should have cut this clip down shorter. But no one's going to watch this video anyway, so I'm not going to bother. We'll just let it ride. So you can see the tails taking shape now. And we're done. So this is where that marking gauge comes into play. Get yourself a good comfortable seat. Clamp board down nice and tight because you don't want it to move. If you don't know how to sharpen a chisel, learn how to really sharpen a chisel very, very well because this part takes time, and the sharper your chisel, the easier it is. So again, get comfortable. I do it on a stool. And there you go. Just hammer away till it's done. I do like to put a little bit of a back cut on the inside. That kind of helps the pins and the tails go together a little bit easier. Here's a second camera angle. Make it a little more visually interesting for you to watch me chisel and chisel and chisel. On and on it goes. Blah, 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 blah. And on to the next clip. So after you finally get through all that, next thing you got to do is you got to mark your tails, or your pins. I mean, I always get them confused. So you just cut the tails, now you're going to cut the pins. So the way you do that is you line up your tail board with your pin board, and these like 90-degree corner clamps are pretty cool. They make it easy to get everything super precise, because you got to be really precise when you're doing dovetails. So you just line it up, get everything like perfectly where you want it to be, tighten it down in place. Again, I probably should have edited this shorter, or maybe I'll just stop talking and you can watch. This will give you a good idea of what it takes anyway. So I used to do the marking with a pencil, but I started using a marking knife. I think that works a little bit better. So there it is, all lined up. Couple of camera angles. There's the marking knife. Just get in there, get some good light. Take your time. You don't want to F this up. So get in there, scribe it, put that little indentation in there. If you're not careful, this is where things can go terribly wrong. You already put so much time into this pin board. So here's my first try. This particular sideboard, I think, was like 7 feet long. So I've cut them standing up and I've cut them laying down. It's either way, it's just awkward, man. So do what works for you. For this one, you can watch me struggle trying to cut it standing up from a ladder, which kind of works. I don't know, it's not great, but it's what I had to do. So I just use like I think that's a $20 Amazon dovetail saw. It's the Japanese style, so it cuts on the backstroke. I prefer that. I think it works good for me, but you might like the other kind. Whatever works for you, man. So here's me cutting the pins laying down flat on the bench. Again, it's debatable what's easier and less awkward. One thing I will say is get you some really good light. That helps a lot. Get some shop lights on there. Then I'm sure there's other ways to do this, but I cut out the majority of the waste with 2 coping saws. So I have one just set straight like a normal coping saw, then I turn the blade to the side on the other coping saw. So this will remove most of the waste so that you can get a router in there next. That's going to be our next step. We're going to do a router with a flush cut bit and a bearing, and you're just going to follow the pins with the router. That's coming up next. You'll see what I'm talking about. Hopefully you understand what I'm doing. So cutting the waste out. There we go. Watch it fall. Yay. There's the pins, roughly cut. Then these are just some like waste boards. I clamp these to the wood there, and this is what the router plate's gonna ride on. So one's a spacer, and then the other one's gonna act like a fence for the router to ride on. So clamp that in there and get it flush with the end of your pins. You can watch me struggle with it. Oh, is the clamp gonna fall? Nope, I saved it. Try again. Alright, got that thing down. Now I'm gonna tap it in and out, just get it exactly right. This is pretty important. And that's what it looks like. There's a space in between the fence, and it's just a regular old router. That's a pattern bit. The bearing's on the top of the bit. So now you can see what I mean by the fence. The router is resting on that piece of wood that I clamped in there, and it's resting on the end of the pins. And now I'm just going to follow the pins around slowly, and that'll cut out the waste, get everything like super even and flush. Yeah, so next time I do this, I'm going to do multiple camera angles, because I think you get the idea of what I'm doing, but a couple more angles would have been nice. I'll do that next time. So just follow it along, watch the dust fly, and here we go. Is it gonna fit? You know it's gonna fit because I started out the video with this same clip. But I gotta say, it's pretty awesome when you get this thing right. It doesn't always go this good, but I got lucky on this one, and it just fit like dead on first try. Check that out. Pretty sweet, man. So if you dig this, check out the rest of my channel. I promise my videos are gonna get way better than this. I mean, this one really sucks. So here's the finished piece, just like a quick 360-degree view. I did make a video of building this entire thing. Nobody watched it. It got like 300 views, but I didn't narrate it, so now I'm trying to narrate it, see if that makes it any better. Here's a close-up of the dovetails, and thanks, man. Thanks for watching this if you actually made it all the way to the end. I appreciate it.